Spotlight series. On today's episode, we are joined by Tash Corbin. Tash is a business strategist and specialises in lean startup and launching. She's also the facilitator of the 19,000 and growing strong heart-centered, soul-driven entrepreneurs Facebook community and hosts her own podcast called #LadyBussy. Welcome, Tash. So cool to have you here today.
Hi, it's so good to be here. I'm so excited that you've got a podcast.
It's happened.
It's happened. So exciting. And I get to be on it. Even better.
You're on it. So great. So great to have you here. So I'm going to jump straight in because I know you've got a lot of juice and awesomeness to share. So I'm going to just dismiss with the fluff and jump straight in.
Nice.
Because I mentioned in the intro, your Facebook group now has over 19,000 people in it. And so I just really would love to focus on that today if we can. So
of course.
Why? And so I'm going to start with the why, because I think that's really important. First of all, why would you want to have a Facebook group? What's the deal with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first started the Facebook community, it was for peer support. I had discovered that there were some really great Facebook groups out there, but I found once they got to about 1,000 members, they kind of went one of two ways. They would either be really spammy and everyone was just like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Or the owner of the group or the admin would be so scared of it becoming spammy that we all kind of had to pretend we didn't really have a business. Like you weren't even allowed to mention the B word or you would get booted out. And so what I wanted was a space where I could have conversations with my peers, talk about my business, but not in a spammy way, in a way that I could get real feedback. I could be honest and vulnerable. And that's what I created. And I think that most of the great Facebook groups actually start that way. They start for a conversation rather than a business benefit. It wasn't until I had 7,000 people in the Facebook group that I actually started stepping out and saying, oh, this is my Facebook group. Honestly, I had 3 of us were admins. I had 2 of my team members were also admins. And people would jump into the group and say, thank you so much, Katrina, for adding me to your Facebook group. And I wouldn't even correct them. I would just be like, they think it's your group. And so for me, it at the start, it had nothing to do with my business and everything to do with supporting me. And then the flow-on effects for my business actually came after that. But to answer your initial question, I think, why would you have a Facebook group? Well, number one, it's to have a conversation that you feel isn't being held elsewhere. Number 2, it's to create a community around a conversation or a topic. And number 3, it does become very powerful for your messaging and your business. People see me as a leader. I do tend to get most of my sales out of my Facebook community. That's the kind of people who are magnetized towards working with me. And so it really is a beautiful avenue for me to create a conversation, connect with the right people, and then, convert those people into, oh, look, that's all C's, alliteration. Create,
I love alliteration.
Connect, and
Can we make a picture?
We need to make a model.
Can we make a model?
Yeah. The 3 C's of community. So yeah, I do think it's those 3 things. It's if you want to create some kind of conversation, you want to connect with people, and you want to then convert them into your clients. I do think that it's a very powerful thing to do. But I just want to quickly say, if converting people into clients is the only motivation, it's a long way to go. There are much faster and easier ways to create business success than creating a Facebook community.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yes.
I always ask people, would you facilitate that conversation if you got 0 money out of it? And for me, I would still run my Facebook community because I love it so much. And for me, that conversation needs to be had. And it's about more than creating successful money in my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yes. I think, me starting my Facebook group was also sort of driven by that, wanting to hang out with like-minded people and have, as you say, those conversations that you weren't having elsewhere. So yes, I do hang out in there, especially if people talk about infographics and models, and I'll be like, yes, can we please have that conversation?
I love it. Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Great. So it's not just about the numbers. I mean, there are bigger and smaller groups on Facebook. But, you know, yours is really unique in terms of the engagement levels, the connection, you know, it really is a community. So how have you created that?
Yeah. Well, actually, there was a university study done on Facebook communities and mine was listed in there. And it was really interesting to have someone else reflect why the group works. And the big thing is shared leadership. So I'm not in that group for me to have a conversation down to people. It really is a community. And I think if you think of offline equivalents, it's like going to into a big giant networking event. I'm not able to hold that room together. There's, 19,000 people in there. I'm not going to be able to manage that conversation. And so something that I've done from day dot in that Facebook group is identify people who step up, who show leadership, and I continue to nurture and encourage them. So if someone steps up and creates an amazing conversation about health and well-being, and I love that conversation, I think that conversation is amazing. If then someone comes in and says, I'm feeling so burnt out, how do I look after my health and well-being? I tag the person who started the conversation about health and well-being. So I do believe, and that invites that person to step up and be a leader. And also, there's lots of ways that I identify leaders. There are leaders in the sense of they really focus on keeping the space safe. Or there are some people who they'll see someone who jumps into the group, they post a promo on the wrong day, and I'll see them, they'll comment and say, hey, just to let you know, that's not really how this group works. Check this, do this, and ask Tash if you have any questions. And I just think that's leadership, right? That's taking responsibility for this space in a really loving way and in a way that nurtures new members into this community. And so it has this really, I think it is unique as well. I think it has a really unique culture where it feels like it's this little club, and we want to keep the club, the thing, as beautiful as, and keep the things that make it what we want to be here. And so I'm quite specific on, for the last 3 years that the community has existed, I've followed the rules and guidelines as much as everyone else. I'll occasionally, if I want to share something sneaky, or like I'll do a little promo on a non-promo day, but I will make reference to why I'm doing it. And so I think that also means that it creates this really energetic feeling that this isn't about me. This is about the community. The community comes first. And so I do believe that kind of principle, and by sticking with that I have created something really beautiful and unique. And I know that there are other coaches out there who teach how to use Facebook groups to create success in your business. And they talk about it's your group, your rules, you can break them as much as you like. If you don't promote hard into that group and milk it for all it's worth, then you're leaving money on the table. And I think, well, that might be true, but for me, the community comes first. And so I think that's what makes it really unique, and that's why it has continued to thrive. I've had 2 weeks off when I've been really sick. I've had weeks off when I've been really sick, and the place still thrives without my presence. And I think that speaks volumes for just how beautiful the community is, and how much people do take responsibility for the space and really lead. And I encourage it. I don't shoot people down. If I find, people always ask me, how come you let business coaches into your group? You're the business coach. I can't possibly serve all of them anyway. And even if I could, most of them wouldn't be able to afford me. I can't step up into my new level of what I charge for in business coaching if no one else can help everyone else. I need to be able to refer people through to other business coaches, more expensive than me and less expensive than me. And I encourage and nurture the other business coaches within the group. And people just don't get that. But for me, it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't I? We are a beautiful community.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that abundance mentality, and I totally share that. And I think that's probably one of the things I really felt when I joined your group, was that really, there really were, as you say, it is shared leadership. I did notice straight away there were like some names in the group that were kind of almost famous, that, and it wasn't you, it wasn't just about you, but there were like, little mini celebrities in there who really were active in the group and, loved and cared about that space as if it was their own. And I think that really does make a big difference. And also, I totally love that abundance mindset of, there's absolutely more space and plenty of clients and out there for all of us, and that's so true. And I love collaborating with people who are in a similar space to me and just passing on clients who aren't a good fit. It's just
perfect.
It's great.
And like, we have 250 new members joining every week, right? Every 7 days we have new 200. So every month it's 1,000 more people on average. Like that's an average month, not even a big month. And so, a lot of people say to me, oh, I've reached saturation in your group. I'm like, well, tell that to the 500 people who just joined in the last 2 weeks who have no idea who you are. Like, there is absolutely an abundance of new entrepreneurs joining the group. There's an abundance of new people to connect with. And if all you're in the group for is to saturate it and get your clients out, then you're kind of missing the point as well. And so I absolutely, I think there are people who we have shout out Sunday, right? So on Sunday, you can say thank you to someone who's helped you or whatever. Every Sunday, I will get a shout out from someone who says, I created the first X amount of thousands of dollars in my business purely in this group. And I love that. Like, if I was thinking, oh, well, that could have been my $5,000, then the group just makes no sense. And so I think that also creates this dynamic of people wanting to protect that space and keep it awesome because they've built their businesses on it. And I think that's an amazing thing, and they haven't built their businesses on it by coming in and spamming and going crazy. They've built their business by coming in, supporting people, answering people's questions, nurturing people, connecting with people, giving freely of their time and energy, and, creating amazing free content and becoming a leader. And I say it takes 4 weeks to become a leader in that space. There might be 19,000 people in there, but it takes in 1 month, you can be known as the something person within that space. And we've had probably 6 or 7 webinar queens, right? Like, if you want to run a webinar, go see that person. And then that person moves on to teaching other things and kind of being more full service. And another webinar queen will pop up. And it's just, I just think it's the most amazing dynamic in that space. And I love that people can get legs in their business. They don't have to spend money on websites. They don't have to spend money on Facebook ads. They don't have to spend money on nothing. All they do is join the community, start sharing what they're really passionate about, start being of service, and then making offers for their paid services, and people buy it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, you did touch on the spammers. So, I think we both know what not so nice Facebook behavior kind of looks like. Let's just say, crappy behavior in a Facebook group. It's obvious to us, but for those people who don't know, because even it still fascinates me to this day, people who I know in business and outside of outside of Facebook, I've met face to face, I know them in real life, who are really great at what they do. They make such, they come into my group on Flaunt It Friday and that is it. And then they're not there for the rest of the week. So let's just tell me a bit about what you see.
Let's touch on that for a sec. Well, the thing is that in any learning modality, there is in order for us to learn something new, we need to be able to relate it to something that we already know, like Sell Me Learning Cycle or something like that. You've got to relate it back to something you know. The thing with online communities is people really struggle with, what do I relate this to, right? Like, what is this? And for a lot of people, they relate it to an advertising platform. And that's where poor Facebook etiquette comes in. They think a Facebook group is a place to grow their business and reach more people. And they just want to do it as quickly and effectively as possible. So it's like a TV. Right? I'm just going to be like the Rugs a Million guy, screaming at you louder and louder every single week until you just cannot resist my 75% discount and, closing down sale every second week, right? Like, Like that's the way that people kind of come in. And that's where I think a lot of that bad Facebook group etiquette stems from. Then you have like the power of social media, the power of Facebook groups is it's a two-way conversation, and people forget that. And so what I liken Facebook groups as is walking into the biggest networking event you've ever been to in your life. Now, you wouldn't walk into a networking event, find the nearest microphone and start yelling at people from the stage. You just don't behave in that way in the offline world. And so why would you do that in the online world? So there are, and I mean, there's lots of other really cool examples like you can use this analogy for. So we get people who come into the Facebook group and they'll say, what's the best thing about being single? And all these people answer the question, like they like think that they're helping this person with some market research or something. And they go on private message every single person and say, hey, single lady, I've got this amazing thing to sell to you, right? So if you think about like an offline, and this is being taught by coaches as a strategy, right?
Because I'm so glad I haven't come across that.
You know, every person who's a single lady in that group, because they've just told you the best thing about being single, and you're going to go and sell them how to find your perfect soulmate, right? So, and I understand, like, it's if you were looking at Facebook groups as a TV style promo strategy, then you would just go in, find the people you want to talk to, and blast them with your ad. What that does, though, is instantly creates disconnection from that person. You've just told that person, you are a potential client to me only. That is the only reason why I asked you that question, was so I could sell something to you. And in a Facebook community, that like it just doesn't fly anymore. So people, it's the equivalent of walking into a networking event and saying, hey, all the single ladies, we're going to get together and have a chat over in the corner. And then they all turn up thinking you're going to have a chat and you're going to talk to them, and you just start yelling at them. That's what it is. Like any kind of promo in real life, that's the equivalent of stepping up on stage and yelling something at people. And so when you do decide to promote, I think it's very powerful to be conscious of the invitation. So in my group, we have a promotion day on Wednesdays. We have market day, and you can promote your thing. You've been invited. It's like the equivalent of me inviting you up on stage and saying, hey, tell everyone what you got. So that's the day to do that promotion. But if no one in the room knows who you are, they've never heard of you before, they've never seen your face before, they've only ever heard your ad from last week, they're not going to buy from you. You might catch the occasional newbie who doesn't realize that you're just spamming, but really that's not going to fly with a lot of people. And the beautiful thing about the Facebook algorithm is it works in your favor. I let people now, like it's very rare, I will double check on another day, you'll see on market day, I will check it if it's like, it just seems like, oh, I have like, who is this person? But it's rare that I need to check it these days, because those people get no engagement on their posts and they get no reach. So the Facebook algorithm now is working to your favor as a group admin, because those people are going to get no traction. So they'll either quit and go away, or they'll keep wasting their time coming in and spamming. And eventually you'll start to see that pattern, you can boot them out. So like the strategy doesn't actually work unless you're engaging with people, you're commenting on their posts, you're posting on non-offer days. Your posts on the offer day get no reach. That's the most popular day to post in my group. I get all the posts on offer day, on Wednesday, market day. And so you're actually like speaking in a heavily crowded market. But the people who've been active for the 7 days before, who've engaged in conversation, everyone who's ever commented on their thing or who their thing has been commented on has told Facebook, we find each other interesting. And so that is what goes into their newsfeed. Your post goes into their newsfeed, not Spammy Spam Pants' post, but yours. And so I think, yes, there's like some groups have very specific etiquette guides, and there's some groups are a little bit more relaxed. But I think number one is, if there are theme days, try and engage with all of them, not just the promo ones. Have a think about how you can create conversations around those theme days, and then like just treat it like an in-person networking event. Like, what is the equivalent of this offline? And if you do that, like, would I do this if it was in person? No, don't do it. would I, you know, even, and people then, I kind of also have to deal with the introverts or the people who are a little bit shy, because then they would say like, Tash, if you invited me on stage to tell you about my business and networking event, I would say no. And so then we need to also think about like how, you know, can you build a business if you consistently say no to the opportunity to get up and talk about your services? No. So you need to make a decision about whether you're actually going to engage in that, and whether, if you're not, find another avenue. Like, it's so like, we're the boss, right? We create these businesses. We're the boss. We get to decide what we do. Sorry, Renee, you've totally poked the bear. Now I need to stop talking. But you know, we've created this business. We're the boss. So you need to work out what strategies actually work for you and what you're comfortable with doing. And what you'll find is if you step a little bit out of that comfort zone and start promoting your business on those market days and start engaging in the group, it's actually the perfect place for people who are introverted or shy or don't feel confident, because it's a safe space to test things out. And also, like, you are in charge of what you share. So you don't, like, people always say, oh, you're such an extrovert, Tash, it's all good for you, you just share everything. I was like, well, how much do you really know about my significant relationship? How much do you know about my family? How much do you, like, I am in charge of what I share. I share very openly about what goes on in my business, because that's what I'm here to talk about, and I'm quite comfortable sharing all of that. And I share a lot of like my personality, but then my personal relationships, I don't necessarily share as much about that. I'm in control. And so, you know, I just love Facebook groups for the power for you to really be making decisions about, well, what do I want to share? How open do I want to be? How much do I want to focus on promotion? What am I here for? I'm in a number of Facebook groups where I never post on the promo days. I'm literally here for the conversations. Those people, if they love that person, they're probably not going to love me. I'm just hanging out here for the conversations. I'm really interested in what you guys do. So, you know, that's also, I think, a very powerful thing to decide is like, why are you here? If you're here to build your business, take part.
Love it. Okay, so I have poked the bear. We've had a bit of ranty Tash, which I love. I love a bit of ranty pants Tash, so that's brilliant. So having the group in itself, so you said earlier that you've built your business pretty much all around your Facebook group. Can you kind of guide us through a little bit what that looks like?
Initially, I didn't build around my Facebook group, but I did create a lot of early success through Facebook groups. So I was in just 3 or 4 Facebook groups where I really wanted to be seen as a leader in the business space. I made consistent offers. I was always sharing free advice, doing lots of, you know, teaching people stuff in those communities. And that's really where I got my first few, you know, first probably dozen clients was from in Facebook communities and groups. Nowadays, I do get a lot of clientele from my Facebook group, but most of that actually comes from, I will share something free into the group. They'll jump onto my mailing list. I'm very consistent with getting newsletters and podcasts and stuff out, and then it sort of plants some seeds about what people might be interested in working with me on. And I do love running webinars. That's probably a big core part of my business. It's the kind of environment that I think I thrive in. I'm a natural teacher. I love models. I love steps. I love alliterated steps, you know, that I can take people through. And so I do basically, the Facebook group is the community, and that is its own thing. But then my business strategy is very similar to what I would expect other people's strategies to be within my own group. So we have freebie day. I share freebies on freebie day. We have offer day. I will share my courses or programs, those sorts of things in that group. Some people will buy direct from there. Others will go through a bit of a sales funnel process from the freebies. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And I think a lot of, like, the thing is that you can get huge business results if you have huge reach. I don't have huge reach, but I've got fantastic results because I have a huge conversion rate. So where someone might, they reach 100,000 people with a Facebook advert, and then that results in 10 people joining their program as they go through the layers of the sales funnel. I can share a course directly into that community of 17,000 people and have 5 to 10 people buy it straight off the bat. because they already know me, they already like what I share, they already trust me. There are other people within that community who have done that thing, who consistently share that they've done it. And so, and then if I run a webinar or something like that, it's just even more, it multiplies and multiplies. So, you know, up until this point, my business has been built on high connection, high conversion. The reach is not significant. Like, my mailing list is still just over 3,000 people. Like, it's not a lot of people. But I have very high, like, I had a 300K year last year, almost 290 something. And that was all through this community, my consistent putting out of content, and short-term launch-based sales funnels. And mostly done on my own as well. I only got my first, like, sort of semi-permanent team member in June last year. So she's only been on board for 9 months. Like, before that, I had like 15 months without anyone in the business. I just did it all myself, and like working 5 hours a day. Like, I wasn't even working big hours. But when I was working, I was just really focused on that connection and building the community and
that's really fantastic results for someone who's been working, you know, to say you're working 5 hours a day to get those results, you know, for those first 15 months. You know, I did it the hard way, Tash, because I've been in business for 17 years. So I'm clearly a slow learner. So what you did in 15 months took me 15 years. So let's just... How did
I decide I want something, I just go for it. Like, when I actually first started my business in 2013. So I did have an assistant a little bit before that, but basically she held my website to ransom and things didn't go very well. So I ended up just going, right, that's it. I'm just going to rebuild everything myself using done for you platform. So courses are on Thinkific. I use ConvertKit for my emails. And I was like, if I can't do it myself, I'm not doing it, because I let myself get into this space of giving away all of the power in my business. And if I got into that situation again, I would just be like, I don't know how anything works. I'm stuck. I'm sorry. So that 15 months was a big learning curve for me, but I was very committed to just doing the 5 hours a week. But when I first, I think it's really hard, because I think I'm a specific type of person who when I started my business, I quit my job to start my business, and just like with no money, with no real plan. I thought I was going to be a career coach for women in the corporate world, because that's where I had just come from, and I was on a good high six-figure salary in the corporate world, and I, you know, thought I'd cracked the code. Cracking the code involved getting out, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm a career coach for women.
How to quit your corporate career.
I just don't want to be there anymore. But so, yeah, I think that the phenomenal growth in my business, it hasn't just come from great strategy. I've always been a business strategy nut, right? I love understanding the psychology of people, why they buy things, and why some businesses work and why some don't, and you know, all of the like rules of business. I just love smashing them, going, that's not actually a rule, like that's just some random dude made that up. We could totally do it our way. So I'm a bit of a rebel in that regard as well. But also money mindset stuff. And I think like this is a whole nother conversation. But when I worked in corporate, I was charged out at $3,000 a day. So a lot of my mindset stuff about worth, like what is it worth to have me help you with your business, was all taken care of. I'd already overcome that obstacle of like, $3,000 for a day, that is ridiculous. And so I think, you know, and I was earning a really great salary. And so my business jumped to that, back up to that six-figure mark. Within 6 months, I was working full-time on it. And I also learned some things the hard way. I was doing 16-hour days when I first started, because that's what I did in corporate. But it didn't take long. It was like 3 months. I was like, you know what? This is the hard way. I'm being a terrible boss to myself by making myself work these crazy long hours. This isn't why I started this. And so I was like, well, that's not negotiable. I'm just going to have to do it in this amount of time. And so a lot of the like money mindset stuff, I think I got back up to that level. Getting past that level in my business took a bit more grappling with the mindset and the energetic side of it, and some more of that, like, am I really worthy of this now? But yeah, I do think that really helped me to jump back up to that level. And then from a strategy side, I am just super curious. And I'd say to all my clients, just treat it like a really fun experiment. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you've got information and you can move forward. And so I just was constantly, and still am, constantly experimenting with ideas, things that conversations, content, you know, and I'm very curious. I'm always asking people questions. What's going on for you right now? How is this showing up for you? What does that mean? Like, I'm always asking questions and being really curious. And then my business strategy mind just sort of magically then morphs that into some random model, and I can go out and teach it again. And also, I think the final piece of that puzzle is I am unwaveringly generous. Like, I know people say, like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? But honestly, I haven't stopped being a content creation machine, being a giving it away for free machine with content, as long as it's leveraged, right? I'm not going to do 11 billion one-to-one sessions with everyone, because then there's no space for anything else. But if I can create a 10-minute video that shows you how to do something, why would I create a 10-week program that has the same outcome? So where I can teach something quickly, easily, just take this and run with it, I do. And I give it away for free. And then that allows me to go next level. Like, if people jump into something that's paid with me, they're really getting seriously into wanting hand holding. They want the help to actually nut it out and get it specific to their own business. So they've already done a lot of stuff. They've already achieved a lot through the free stuff. And I just keep going with it. It's working for me, so I'm not going to change it. I've had people tell me, you really give away too much free content. I say to them, well, it's working, so I really don't care.
Yeah. And if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. And people say, oh, you could have charged for that. You could have charged for that. You could have charged for that. I was like, yeah, but I would rather have 1,000 women come to a free training session and actually achieve results than try and sell it and sell 25 places, and then 20, you know, out of those 25, some of them do it and some of them don't. And like, I really, when it comes to that kind of content, I would much rather just share it freely, have those 1,000 women come along, really engage in it. They're learning from each other and connecting with each other. They're getting great results, and then they know that they can expect that and more from me in the next thing. And that's where I really do think that shines through in my community. Now that I've decided to step up in my community and say, actually, it's mine, and I'm here and I want to teach you in this way, I do think that it's created this next level of just awesome community connection. And like a really silly example, but I run this thing called 7-Day Fast Money Challenge, and I want everyone else to collectively make $1 million in 7 days, because that to me is just like, if we can do that and we call ourselves a lady posse, like we've even got our own names and totally our own language, but if we can bring $1 million into the lady posse in 1 week, like, that is such a huge energetic shift. That's a money up-leveling, community up-leveling kind of thing. And people say to me, why are you not charging for the 7-Day Fast Money Challenge? Like, because I'll never create $1 million for the lady posse if you have to pay for it to come in. And if you guys do it for free and you make this money and you like have this huge up level, like we've just finished the last round of the challenge. We made $250,000 between us, which is, you know, we're getting there. But I would have had 15 people send me an email and say, I'm doing your program because I made that money in the 7 days. And so for me, it's like, again, abundance mentality. Like,
absolutely.
I give it away free, and the right people will want to go to the next level. And some people just keep doing that same free thing over and over again, and they're getting great results. And I'm cool with that too. I just feel like everybody wins.
Yeah. I totally love that. And yeah, you're preaching to the converted here, because, you know, I'm all for giving it away for free, because there's no way I can give away in one video, one session, all of my, you know, 20 plus years experience. It's just not physically possible for me to download 20 years of experience in a 1 hour session.
Yes. And that's the lecture I give to people who say that to me. I say, like, they say it about themselves. Oh, I was reading that I shouldn't give everything away in my webinar, and it's an hour. And I just say back to them, you're worth more than you could possibly fit into an hour. So just give freely.
Yeah.
You are worth more than you could. You're worth more than you could jam into a full day. You've got so much more to give. There's, besides the fact that you can actually tailor it to individuals and you have that skill and capacity, you also have more in that beautiful brain of yours than just you could possibly, like, even if you did a free hour every day for a year, you still have more to give. You still are, in giving away that stuff, you would learn more things and you would want to share more things. So
absolutely,
you are worth so much more than you could possibly jam in, so just jam it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. And I'm definitely a fan of that practice myself. And I kind of, and I think from the client's perspective as well, if they're seeing the kind of value you give in a 1 hour session for free, they're like, oh, if this is what I get for free, imagine the kind of what I'm going to get if I actually pay for something. I think that, there is that realization that people say, this is the free stuff. Like, what happens when I go next level, and I think that, and that's definitely, there's those people saying, oh, am I giving too much away for free? It's coming from that kind of fear and scarcity of, I've got to hold on for every last thing.
Yeah. I will jump in with one little thing, is that also, though, when you're creating that next level, you need to be conscious of that as well. So I'm very conscious that my paid stuff needs to be totally next level compared to my free stuff. Something else that kind of gets my goat at the moment is I've purchased courses. I've done a webinar and then I've purchased the course for $300 afterwards. And the course is the webinar just stretched out over 6 weeks. and there's nothing new in there. There's no next level. It's just literally, here's me saying it slower and with 4 examples instead of the 1 example I gave in the webinar. So I do think that if you do create that dynamic, it's not just you've created that dynamic so everyone buys and so, that's it. I do think you want to make sure that next level is next level, that paid thing is either more detail or more tailored, or they've got more access to you, or you definitely deal with the obstacles that come up for people as they go through that content, because it can't just be a rehash. And so, that's another thing that
I'm just shaking my head because I can't even believe that people would think that was viable. Like, what?
Well, no, and this is the thing, is that we need to have strong voices in this, because there are big name, like I follow some big name podcasts and coach and stuff like that, and I have heard like people who $1 million coaches say, once they've bought your course, whether they do it or not is none of your business. And I completely disagree with that. Whether they get the result or not is up to them, not up to you. Completely disagree with it. And so we need to be standing for a better caliber of online course, passive income, group programs. We need to stand for a better caliber of results for our clients, because I think it's really abhorrent that people are out there saying that, and they've got like millions of listeners on their podcast, and I've got
they're creating all these like little followers, little sheep who are just doing that strategy, which is ugly
stuff, and it's really not nice. No. And so for me, like, the more of us that we can spread the word, we can share this content, we can get them listening to all these different podcasts, I think we're going to create a shift and really demonstrate to people that, it's not about making a sale and the relationship ends there. It's about, and this is where the name of my group comes from, right? It's heart-centered, soul-driven entrepreneurs. We're not here just to make money. We are here to make money helping people achieve something. We're here to make money helping people to solve problems. We're here to make money by changing the world. And so, it really does come from that genuine desire to help people achieve outcomes. I created programs so I could serve more people, not so I could make more leveraged money and sell to people and go and sip cocktails on the beach. I inherently care about whether people get results or not. Like, I always give this example. I create a planner every year. It's like a business planner. And the first year I did it, it was like $20, buy the planner, and then it just gets delivered. And I sold 74 copies of that planner. I reckon I emailed 50 of those people and said, how's the planner? Are you actually using it? You know, and for me, that was just this huge epiphany. I was like, it's not about passive income for me. It's about like leveraging, like creating one thing and helping 74 people with it. And if I want, you know, now when I sell the planner, I sell planning workshops with it. Like, you get the planner and you get some time with me so that I can get that feedback from people and make sure it's still helping people get what they want out of it and answer questions and that kind of thing. And it's like I don't panic about whether people are actually getting value out of it now, you know. And so I do think that it's a whole new culture within the online business world of being focused on that, actually achieving outcomes, actually delivering results. And really, it comes from the heart.
Yeah. And you're going to start me on a rant because you said passive income, and then my whole body just tenses and I just go, there's no such thing as passive income in our business. Stop it. There's just no such thing. And it really isn't. Like, if you want passive income, talk to a financial advisor. Seriously, There's no such thing as passive in a business, because even if you create an online course and you put it up there and sell it and you don't give a crap if someone ever does anything with it, that's not passive, because you still have to do the marketing. You still have to sell it. It's not going to, just like, if you build it, they will come. Like, that's just crap. I mean, and, you know, so there's that level. It's not possible to be passive. It's leveraged, yes, but it's not passive. And secondly, like, where the is the integrity? You know, to beat me out, I'm just like muting myself.
The bear.
Where on earth is the integrity in selling something and not giving a crap if someone does anything with it? Like, that is just no. And if you're listening to me, I know that you actually care about making a difference in the world. So no.
Yes.
No to passive. No. Leverage, yes. I'm all for leverage. You've got to. It's got to be results driven. It's got to be about people actually making the transitions, getting results, getting what they came for. And if you can't make that happen, maybe you need to rethink your whole business. Rant over. You poked the bear.
It's a thing.
So let's have a quick chat about leverage. How have you created leverage in your business?
So I started with that planner. It wasn't particularly effective leverage because I spent more hours following up than actually in the selling mode. My first leverage product was Takeoff. It's a program I help people get started in the online business world. And so it does have video modules, but then we have lots of live calls. So for me, I get to know every person who jumps into that program. When you're in the startup phase, you need someone else's eyes on your business. And so it's just really grown from there. I have a program where I help people build courses. I have a program where I help people launch in a connected way, so it's high converting. And I have an academy where people can come in and just grab the stuff that they need. So I have some strategies like how to run a webinar, how to do a challenge, how to induct people onto your mailing list in a great way. So, you know, it's a little bit plug and play, and we do some live calls with that as well. But really, any of the ways, like my programs kind of follow the business journey. So startup, then creating a program and leveraging, launching it, you know, and then some of that extra on top stuff. And I kind of follow that process with my programs. But at every stage, there's a lot of access to me. So I use Zoom-based live calls quite a lot. And I really do get very attached to my peeps. It's, you know, a lot of people say you shouldn't get attached, but I can't help it. Like, this is the chick who adopted a puppy in Bali. Like, you don't talk to me about attachment. I get so attached to everyone. But so I really do. And because of that, I have small intakes of people. It's probably maximum of 50 people each time people come in, but then everyone hangs around. Like, Takeoff program, there are people who did it 3 years ago who still might come along to a live call here and there just to check in, say hello, cheer some people on. You know, it's a very, very connected community. And yeah, that's how I've done it, mostly through those group programs and courses and and launching in a really connected way in the community.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. And what do you love most about your business?
There's so many things to love. I think just the lady posse, like who I get to hang out with, like in the Facebook group now, because there's quite a few clusters, we have people run lady posse meetups. So I just went and turned up to the Brisbane one last Friday, and it's like I feel like a bit of a celebrity, and like people were like shy to come and say hello, and then there was one lady who was like, "Can I just hold your hand because you're real?" And it's like I really love that sense of like, I created this. Like I was sitting back, there's 30 women all just having a great time. You know, when I started my business, creating an online business was a little bit lonely. And so to be able to see all these women learning about each other, and we were talking about like ancestral clearings all the way through to like eating right, and then business strategy stuff and Facebook ads. And there was like all these crazy conversations going on. And I had this moment, I sat back and went, this is my little posse, and I don't feel lonely anymore. I definitely don't with 19,000 of us. But yeah, I think that's probably the thing that lights me up the most. And I've always said if my business stopped or became illegal or you couldn't sell into Facebook groups anymore, I'd still run the community, because it is like I wake up in the morning and I'm busting to check my phone to see what's happened in the community overnight and to see what everyone's up to. And Wednesdays when people are sharing their offers, I'm scrolling through just like, oh my goodness, like you've finally made an offer, or, you know, oh, you've put your prices up. Like I really love seeing people grow in that space, and it makes me feel really awesome. I've always had this vision of being like this big fat old grandma Nan, and I have this amazing giant mansion and hundreds of my children and grandchildren and, you know, cousins and all that come and spend weeks at a time with me, and it literally feels like that's what's happening online. Like I just gather people and we just have a great time, and it's really unintrusive and fun and lighthearted, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. And oh, that's the other thing. I have the weirdest little fantasies. I've always wanted to live in a world where like I'm on the bus and I'm listening to music and I accidentally start singing out loud, but then everyone just joins in. They don't make fun of me. And so like even in the group, we make dance videos together, and we had a lip syncing competition, and people get on there and sing to each other as their thank you for the week. And it's just, I cannot believe that I've manifested like this dream world. It just so happens that it's online, and I'm cool with that. It's awesome.
It's brilliant. You really have built a thriving, amazing community that's kind of really, it's in a league of its own out there, Tash. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing all your brilliance today. We've been speaking to Tash Corbin, and I'll put all the links to all her stuff in the show notes. So please check her out and see what she's up to. Please follow the links because there's a lot more to Tash Corbin than we could ever possibly cover in one session. So
more than I could jam into a single session, right? We just proved it.
Exactly. Like we haven't even touched we've just touched the surface, man. Yeah. We've got so much more to give, but hey, time. So please follow all the links. We've been speaking to Tash Corbin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.